Well, I think it's probably been one of the most important weeks for Keir Starmer's premiership. We're joined now by the Minister for School Standards, Georgia Gould, who joins us. Thank you for being with us. Before we get to all the politics, I just wanted to talk to you about this stabbing we've seen in Brent. You're obviously a North London MP as well. We know terrorism police are investigating. Is there anything more you can tell us at this stage?
Just firstly, it's just an absolutely horrendous incident that sent shockwaves through the community, and all of our thoughts are with the two young victims and their families. You know, it's a live police investigation. The suspected perpetrator is in custody, and we need to give the police space to do that work. So there's not much I can say at this point, apart from that this is something we're taking incredibly seriously.
You're obviously a minister for schools, and I guess there'd be a lot of parents waking up this morning worried about security in their school. Is it something that we need to take seriously? Is it something where children should get, I guess, light touch training on what to do if there is a terrorism incident in their school? What's your view on that?
So, this is, obviously something that's going to cause a lot of concern for families, but we are, there is already a huge amount of work going on to prevent knife violence, working with teachers, working with schools to ensure that they are safe places. But in light of what's happened today, we will look into what's happened, the investigation, and if there's more that needs to be done, we won't hesitate to do that.
OK. So you're announcing £1 billion today to improve school buildings. A lot of this is around special educational needs units. So is this all about, I guess, getting schools more ready to take on more children with special educational needs who might currently be in specialist schools?
Well, it's to better support the children that are already in school, and sadly so many who are out of school. I've been travelling around the country talking to families and young people. I've met far too many young people who are desperate to be in school, be in the school in their local community, and that they found it's impossible because they're not accessible. So, we want every school to be accessible for young people that live locally. So our expectation is every secondary school will have an inclusion base, which is a kind of safe, purpose-built space that supports young people with special educational needs to be a full part of a school community.
It is. I'm right in saying that this is a government that thinks that in most cases, children with special educational needs should be in mainstream schools. Was that right?
Yeah, we really think that children, wherever possible, should be in mainstream schools. We know that their outcomes are better, linked to their community. But I think it's really important to say for people viewing today that we still think there's a really important role for special schools. We're investing in more special schools. So children who need to be in special schools will do, but we want them to be linked into mainstream schools.
Because I guess this is, whenever we report on this issue, there are a lot of worried parents about this. Claire, for example, who got in touch with me this week saying, my son went to a special needs school, now doing a degree. It never would have happened if he'd stayed in mainstream. And so I guess there are people who worry that this is not the best policy for kids with additional needs. But also, I guess, if we're in a situation where we're seeing an increased number of diagnoses and an increased number of EHC plans for children with special needs, what about all the other children in state schools as well? Is there a worry that resources might be diverted away from them?
So I think two things. Firstly, for many parents I've spoken to, they have said that they think their child could have thrived in mainstream school, but when they needed support, it wasn't available. They had to battle for years, and eventually they ended up having to go out of the mainstream system. And so this is about making things better for those students. But we believe more inclusive schools are better for everyone, better quality adaptive teaching that supports all students.
I want to talk to you about Matthew Doyle, now if I may. Labour peer, well, actually not suspended from Labour, I should say, but he's still a peer. And the controversy is that he campaigned for Sean Morton, a councillor, who was then found to have had child abuse images from him. Should he now be stripped of his peerage?
Yeah, I think Keir Starmer has acted to remove the Labour whip from Matthew Doyle, and there's a Labour Party investigation going on into this, and and that process is going to conclude. But I think Keir, the Prime Minister has taken action.
Should Matthew Doyle be stripped of his peerage is a question?
Yeah, well, I think at the moment there's an investigation going on. We'll wait for that to conclude. But, the Prime Minister said on Monday night that we want to ensure that the highest standards in public life. He's gone back and looked at this appointment. He's taken action to withdraw the whip.
There'd be a lot of people thinking, it's exactly the same thing. Not exactly the same, but there are echoes in Mandelson here, right? Keir Starmer knew when he appointed Lord Mandelson that he had a relationship or a friendship, if you like, or had seen someone post-conviction. And with Matthew Doyle, it is, that there's an issue there as well, because we knew, Number 10 knew that he campaigned for Sean Morton before they gave Matthew Doyle that peerage. That's right, isn't it?
I think Number 10 did not know before they made the decision to give him the peerage. But I think
I don't accept that, because it was on the front page of the Sunday Times.
So I think I think the decision, the announcement was made on the 10th of December. I think the story was later in the month. But I think the Prime Minister has looked at this afresh, given the commitments that he has made to ensure the highest standards in public life, and he has taken action.
People might think that we're just not taking child abuse seriously enough.
We're taking it incredibly seriously, and Keir Starmer is somebody who has spent his whole career putting people who abuse children into prison, and this is his lifelong work. It is deeply important to him, and no one is harder on themselves than the Prime Minister. But he's clear that things need to change. Vetting has to be better.
Should we see those Matthew Doyle documents, all the vetting documents? Then should we publish those?
Look, I think there is an investigation going on at the moment. I think we'll have more to say when that's completed.
Can I just finally talk to you about Peter Mandelson? I mean, you knew him pretty well. Is it fair to say?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he was a good friend of my father's. I've known him my whole life. I've been completely shocked by what has come out. I know that my dad, who's no longer alive, would have been too. He's someone who I was thought of as a public servant, and I could not believe when I read some of the things that have come out. When the whole government needed to be focused at that time on the huge challenge you faced, to be passing information in that way, it has been deeply painful to see what has emerged.
Do you feel like a sense of betrayal?
I feel deeply saddened by it. I feel that we all get up every day to serve a country, to make a difference. The Prime Minister does. That's what I do. And for this to have happened it has been very painful. Just
finally, it's one of those questions that could be a bit awkward, but do you think part of the reason that people don't have faith in politicians is the interconnectivity of it all? My dad's friends with your dad, your sister's in the cabinet as well, your mates with so-and-so, your wife's here and there. And, well, journalists are not away from this as well, right? I face up to that, I take responsibility. But I guess my point is we're tougher on random people than we are on our friends and family. Mm-hmm. Is the connections in politics a problem? And is that why people like Lord Mandelson have been able to get away with things? I think, what we see in this, the group of MPs that have been elected is, people from all walks of life. Teachers, social workers, community workers, business people. We have a really wide-ranging and talented group of MPs. And look, I'm really clear on my values and my integrity, and I would uphold that regardless of the individual, whether you knew them or not. And I think that that's where we need to be in politics. We need to have the highest possible standards, and that's what the Prime Minister is committed to, and will continue to do so. And I don't think he didn't have a long-standing relationship with Peter Mandelson, but he has been absolutely clear that things need to change, and they will change. OK, thank you very much indeed, Georgia Gould, speaking to us there.